לעילוי נשמת הרב רב מנחם מענדל עליו השלום לנדא ben Arav Israel Shichy, dedicated by the Shulman family. This is a story that the Frierdiker Rebbe related that tells how the city of Drivin became Chassidim. And the Frierdiker Rebbe says like this: the Mittler Rebbe praised the hadracha, the guidance of his first melamed, Rabbi Israel Doiv, because he guided him to always hear Chassidish maises, and he gave the Mittler Rebbe a big chayus in hearing Chassidish stories. So one time, the Mittler Rebbe found a few Chassidim sitting and telling each other Chassidish maises. And he overheard that the Chassid Reb Chaim from Drivin says that in Drivin were very big Talmidei Chachamim, and the biggest Talmidei Chachamim in Drivin previously were all big misnagdim. And there was a very small amount of Chassidim in Drivin in the beginning. It was just about a minyan of Jungalite who were being supported by their father-in-laws. So me, says Reb Chaim, I was one of those Jungalite, and all of us learned by the Gaon Reb Zerach Meir Gribeler. Reb Zerach Meir was a 60-year-old Yid, which learned non-stop, and any Inyan that he learned was a whole sugya by him with many details, and the Ga'onim of Brisk and Vilna gave him the title Reb Zerach Meir Gribeler, the digger, meaning because he went very deeply into any topic. So when the Gaon Reb Zerach Meir would say a shir, the oldest Ga'onim of Drivin would listen, because he was a big Baal Mechadish. He said a lot of deep chidushim, and he explained things very well. And then whenever Reb Zerach Meir would give a shir, he would start off by saying, "Pay attention and hear Chidush Torah, the Tanoim and Amoraim are rejoicing with them in Gan Eden." And he would praise himself before each shir. So once, when the Gaon Reb Zerach Meir was about to start giving a shir, a stranger walked into the Bis Medrash. He put his sack on the side, he washed his hands, asked the Jungalite, we went over to him, we greeted him, gave him a shalom aleichem. In the meantime, Reb Shalom Shloime, which was one of the Chassidim, which was a store owner, also walked in, and when he saw the stranger, he gave him a shalom aleichem, and he asked him if he ate already, and he invited him to come to his home to eat. So the stranger answered that he already ate, and he sat by the shir, he sat next to the table to hear Reb Zerach Meir's shir. But as soon as he sat down, the Zkanim, the big Ga'onim, and the Gaon Reb Zerach Meir himself told him that he should get up and go stand on the side, and he shouldn't sit right next to the older Ga'onim, because they told him a person needs to be makiras mekoymai, a person needs to know his place. The stranger didn't answer anything. He got up and he stood on the side. Then the Gaon Reb Zerach Meir started the shir, but first he gave the whole famous Akdama. He would praise himself and say that the Tanaim and Amoraim are going to rejoice in Gan Eden with his shir. And then he gave a shir. He gave a shir on the Mishnah in Baba Basra of a makif es chaveroi mishalosh l'choisav. If somebody has a field and then his friend has 3 fields surrounding his field, how do they deal with that? So when Reb Zerach Meir the Gaon finished explaining the Mishnah, which took a very long time, the older Ga'onim said with tremendous excitement that such Chidush Torah must be that the Tanoim and Amoraim are very much rejoicing with them in Gan Eden. The stranger, which stood on the side and heard the shir, then spoke up, and he started to upschlag, he started to disprove everything that Reb Zerach Meir said in the shir. First, he repeated Baal Peh, everything that Reb Zerach Meir said, and then he disproved everything. And everybody present, everybody listening, including Reb Zerach Meir, were very confused and amazed, and they just sat there quietly. And then, when the stranger finished disproving everything, he said that I was once in a small shtetl, and over there I heard how a younger man who's a Rosh Yeshiva learned this sugya. So let me tell you how he learned this sugya. And for the next few hours, the stranger taught them the sugya the way he heard it from that younger man in that shtetl. The Skanim and the Gaon of Zerach Meir were very, very amazed. Afterwards, they got up from their places, they gave him an honorable shalom aleichem, and they asked him to sit by the table. So the stranger answered, A person needs to be makeres mekoimoi. A person needs to know his place. The guest, said Reb Chaim Driviner, was the Chassid Reb Mנחem Zcharia, and he stayed in Drivin for a few years, and the Gאונים of Drivin all became Chassidim of the Alter Rebbe. And the Mashpia Reb Mנחem Zcharia, when he was there in Drivin, he was very much careful. He very much looked after the chinuch and the hadracha of the kids of the Chassidim. And that's the story.